Let's try and make a memory that's a little bit more complicated. What we are going to do is we're going to make a memory that does this. It makes a toolbox in preview that we can still adjust before we put it on the air. It's a very useful memory, and it also will give us an opportunity to learn more of the details of how the memories themselves work. The way that we start, let me reset all this. What we are going to do is we are going to build our effect here in program where it would eventually end up, move it to preview, and then memorize it in preview. So the first thing I will do is I will choose my clip store, a clip that I want to use, put it on the air. Then I will put on top of that 2 key layers and then a character generator layer on top of the clip store, and this is the effect as I want it. However, if I transition from preview to program, you will notice that the only thing that is changing is the background. This is a part of switcher technology that is a little difficult for some people to understand. The way that it works basically is if we have no key layers turned on at all, a transition will simply go from preview to program. If I turn a layer on, for example a CG like that, you'll notice as I do my transitions that the layer is unaffected, the key layer that's on top, unless I turn that key layer on here. Now you'll notice that the key layer moves with the transition. So let us say I have something complicated. For example, I have this background, I have these 2 key layers turned on also. If I want the background plus the 3 key layers to move, I need to turn them all on here in the transition section. And now these things will move in unison. And now you've probably guessed that the main reason I wanted to build the effect in program and then move it into preview is to ensure that this transition section was set up correctly. Now that I have my effect in preview with the transition section set correctly, let's memorize this. I'm going to go to Memory, Controls, Save Snapshot, First Available, Memory 31, and I'm going to, instead of saving everything like I did before, I'm going to click everything off, and instead I'm going to select everything a la carte. And the reason for that is that while I want to load this in preview, I do not want to change what's on the air. I want it to be left alone. So that's why I have to choose these things a la carte, and it's a great excuse for me to explain what all these individual buttons do. The first button that I press here is Save Key 1. That will make a note that Key 1, which is this one here, the one here on the left, it will save the size, position, those kind of parameters for it. If I press it again, I get a 1S. That means it will not only save the size and position of key 1, but it will also save whatever signal is coming into it, which in this case happens to be this live signal. If I press that button again, I get a 1C. That means I'm not only saving the size and position and this live signal coming in, but the content of the live signal, which is the settings of that live signal. The settings are things like, is the chroma key turned on? Is it 4:3 or 16:9? That kind of stuff. So that's the 3 levels of detail that I can save for each key layer in a memory. Whether the size and position alone, also what happens to be wired into it, and then the third thing is the settings of whatever is wired in. Same with key 2. This will save the size and position here of this other key layer. This will sit there and save what signal is wired into it, another live signal. And then this will save the content of that live signal, which in this case again is the chroma key settings, aspect ratio. Key 3 is a little different. Key 3 is the graphic. The first time I press it, I get the size and position of the graphic, which is full screen. The second time I press S, it will notice the source into the key layer, which happens to be the character generator. And the third time I press it, it will also choose on top of the character generator the particular character generator slide that we had loaded. So here's where you really notice the difference between the three different things. Size and position of the layer alone, what is the source that's going in, and then the content of that source, the character generator slide. We're not using keys 4, 5, and 6, so I'll just skip over those, but we are using preview. If I press preview, what it will make a note of is that we have the clip store loaded in preview. And if I press it again, it'll give me the content of the clip store, which happens to be this blue clip, which is called blue cylinder. Program I don't want to save. I don't want to change whatever is going out on the air when I call up this effect. But I do want to save transition. The first time I press it, it will save whether the kind of effect. Is it a mix or a wipe? If it's a wipe, what kind of wipe? The second time I press it, it'll make a note of what layers are included in this effect. So this will make a note that all of the key layers are included in this effect, not just program and preview background layer. So I am saving key 1, key 2, key 3. Here you see them labeled. Whatever is on preview down to the content, the transition down to the layers. And then there's one more thing I want to save that a lot of people miss. I go to the next menu and I also want to save the direct keys. What I'm saving here is the status of these buttons. Right now, none of these layers is on the air, like that, which is exactly what I want. When I call up this effect, I want to make sure that these layers aren't on program. So I'm going to also memorize the fact that those layers are not on the air. Now that I've done that, I come over here and I say save memory, and that should save our memory 31. Let's see if it works. I will go to my show setup to start my show. I will dissolve to my clip. I will put my talent in preview. Yeah, let's use this one. Let's use that one. I will go to my talent. I will ID him. You'll see that the graphic that's currently in the character generator is a single person. I will perhaps put a box over his shoulder. Maybe this box is a better one. Perhaps even change the signal going into it. And you get the idea. Now I'm going to call up the memory we just made. And look, there in preview is our 2-box effect. And if I want to change it, I can. So for example, if I want to put a different signal in here, like that, I can change the signals going into each layer and then put it on the air. And then take it back off. So this is the real nice thing about these memories. This is you can pre-make an effect, you can run it by the director or producer, make sure they're happy with it, and then save it and just call it with one single push of a button.